SilverSilk. It is a revolutionary jewelry making medium that you can string on it, you can wire wrap it, you can weave with it, you can sew onto it, or you could just leave it naked. But today's tutorial, I'm actually going to teach you how to wire wrap with SilverSilk around stones that you might have in your personal inventory. If you are looking for the materials that I'm using, you can check out the video description below, and there you'll find all of the little tidbits and source materials and everything that you'll need to know for this project. My name is Nilay Patel. I'm the owner, designer, and educator here at SilverSilk and More, and bringing you guys fun, fresh ideas on what to do with SilverSilk. Now, there's a few places you can catch me. Firstly, you can check out, again, the video description, and there you'll find a number to text hello to. If you do, you will be automatically signed up for my text notifications. Second is you can follow us in the Silkies group over on Facebook. We're a thriving community of very talented, creative individuals that enjoy creating designs with SilverSilk, and we want you to come join us. The last place that you can check us out is our Instagram. There you'll find tons of inspiration photos, some interesting reels that you can check out and try to recreate yourself. Where as far as the projects are, there's some tutorial information on there too. So there's a lot of places you can catch me, inevitably. So why don't I flip around to the project photo here, and we'll get started with our tutorial. Okay, let's go over the materials that I'm going to be using. So first thing is you'll need a clasp because we're going to be creating a necklace for this particular technique, using this particular technique. So I recommend having a clasp. I'm going to be using gold as my metal color choice, but really you can go as creative as you want and mix metals perhaps if you want to, or just stick with a single color like I'm doing today. I am going to need about 24 inches of beading wire. Beading wire is one of those things that you really have to pinpoint depending on the project that you're wanting to make. In this case, I recommend using a medium beading wire, medium meaning in size. So there's, I think, about 3 different sizes that you can use. And the medium really just hits that perfect spot where you can use big stones or string small stones onto it, just depending on the hole size. This one is also very flexible. It is the, let's see, 49 strand, actually, which means that there's 49 tiny little wires that have all been bundled together and then coated in nylon to create a very flexible cord, essentially, a very flexible cable. So because this cable is super flexible, it's also going to have a very good drape to it. Not all projects that I do will call for such a flexible type of beading wire. Some of it requires a little more structure, so you may want to go with a less strand intake of the cable cord itself. The 7 strand would be the next level that's less flexible as well. But the 49, looking out for those numbers, at least on the packaging, 49 strands at the 19 diameter or medium-sized beading wire is going to be perfect for this project. So again, 24 inches. Alongside that, you'll need 2 2mm crimps, and this is also in that gold color. So I'm going to set those up to the side here. You'll need, of course, some SilverSilk. This is the flat mesh, and this is what I'll be using to wrap the stones in today. So this is a special type of chain that I create. It takes 6 needles that stitch a single piece of wire into a tube. Then that tube is ran through a second setup that flattens it into this flat mesh, essentially. That's where it gets its name from. And you get this beautiful, really supple, flexible, and very structural chain with it. It is quite ritzy, I must say, and very beautifully knitted. It's very precise because it is machine stitched and comes out just exquisite as a product. So you're going to need all 5 foot of it for this project, just depending on how many stones or how long you're going to make your necklace. And which does bring us to our stones. So here's just a few. You would need quite a few, but I'm going to demonstrate this technique using just a few stones, and then I'll show you how I put it together. But these stones are really cool. What they are, I actually have no idea. I'm not a really great stone teller, but I can tell you that I don't discriminate. I think all stones are beautiful, and these are definitely no exception to that. This is quite pretty. I believe it's probably some sort of a jade. They're quite cloudy and just beautiful, and they have little facets on them. But you can see that these are more rectangular, plus they're about an inch. So if you're thinking in terms of structure or how long you want your necklace to be, just think about the size of the stone itself. If these are about an inch and you're wanting something that's 18 inches, and you account for a little bit of space between the clasp and maybe a few extra decorative beads, you're probably going to want about 18 stones, give or take. And you can always adjust. This design is not a one and done sort of deal. You can always subtract or add as many stones as you want to. That's totally up to you. And that's what I also love about this design is it's very flexible and very, I don't know, just you can customize it however you like. So, and of course, I just mentioned some decorative beads. So I'm going to have those out here to the side. I've got my clasp all ready to go there, so let me scooch these off to the side, and I'll show you how to wrap these stones in SilverSilk. Now, there's just a couple tools that I do need. First is my cutters, and I just have a pair of Lindstrom cutters here, and I'm going to have a pair of crimpers handy. And I love these little Zeron crimpers, so I'm going to keep those out to the side. I don't think I'll need it, but I'm going to keep my chain nose pliers out to the side as well. Again, this technique is just so easy and fun, and you don't need a whole lot of tools for. So, but I like to keep a few on hand just in case, because you never know. It's always good to have some extra hands or fingers when you need them. Okay, so to do this technique, what you want to do is grab your flat mesh, and you want to measure out about an inch and a, well, really 2.5 inches of chain. And I think that this, for me, is the magic number only because that amount is perfect to wrap each stone around. And we are going to be cutting all the flat mesh and wrapping each one of them individually and then stacking them together. So that's really the secret, but it's just how you execute that technique that makes it look and work outstandingly. So give or take, again, 2.5 to maybe 2 3/4 inches. And I'm just going to grab my cutters and just nip that right off. And I'm going to use this as a template to cut my other pieces. There we go. So you just keep going until you have all of your 18 or so pieces cut and ready to go. And even though these shapes are a little bit irregular, they're about the same size as far as, you know, the height of them. And so I think that measurement, again, is probably the magic number for these. If you're using a different stone, what I would do is just take a test piece and just wrap it around the stone once and let the seams of your flat mesh line up. And if you want to have a little bit of wiggle room, I think that's a great idea because it doesn't have to hug the stone completely. It could be a little bit of a looser wrap. That's perfectly fine. But you can kind of just eyeball and measure and then just cut maybe a knit or two extra. And that would give you a perfect size to be able to wrap really any stone that you want to. Alrighty, so what you're going to do is pick up one of your pieces. You're going to just sort of kind of fold it in half because you just really want to figure out where the center line here is. And you just simply sew right up through it with your beading wire. Then you drop down your stone. And what you're going to do is take one side. And because the beading wire is super flexible, we're going to use it as a handy little needle here. And you just simply string one side over. And then you string the other side over after that so that they lay on top of each other. And as you can see, it is just loose enough to feel like it's wrapped around that stone comfortably, but not too tight. And that's exactly what you're going for. So that's one wrap. Let's do another one. Okay, again, just kind of, you don't want to crease it hard. That's the last thing you want to do. You just want to kind of fold it in half to make a teardrop shape, and then you just simply string right up through it very easily. The large open knit holes allow for just the simplest of stringing to happen there. That's how that works. And then you can string on your stone and then just go a knit or two beneath the edge there, just below the edge, and simply overlap the two knitted wires together. Now, when you press these up against each other, the cool thing is that those knits interlock against each other, and that prevents it from really spinning around as you're wearing it. Because once you start to tighten all of this together, that knit just sort of compresses against each other and all of that stuff interlocks and it looks like it's very seamless. So that's really the trick. Let's do one more and then I'm going to show you a necklace that I've pre-strung. Okay, string up through the center there, string on your bead, and then just simply go wow, one after the other. There we go, 1 and 2. You don't want to have too much sticking out there because that's going to show later if you do, and you'll have a tough time hiding it. But if it's cut short enough, it is just perfect for this. Check that out. And it's flexible too, so that if you do make a bracelet and you need a more intense curve there, you can see that it does bend quite easily. So that's the tip and trick for learning how to wire up the stones with flat mesh. So let me show you how to complete a design. Okay, let's scoot all these guys to the side. Now, as I mentioned, I had a necklace pre-strung. So here, I started actually in the center and I strung on a little decorative bead there. Well, that's not really little. It's like a 15, 20 millimeter decorative bead. So it's kind of a big decorative bead. And then I worked my way out with that technique so that all of my seams on the left side here are facing left and they go straight up as such. And then on the right side, it's the same deal where all the seams are facing the right direction. As you can see, this one ends up here as such. So what I want to do now is crimp everything together and call it a design, right? Because that's the easiest technique in the world to do right now for SilverSilk. So let us go ahead and string on our last decorative bead. This one just happens to match my larger one down here. So I kind of just had that same design continuity up to the top there. And I thought it made a nice little finishing touch to this. So I'm going to string that on, and I'm going to string on my crimp as well as my clasp. And I'm going to go back down through the crimp. Okay, and I'm just going to press everything kind of tight here toward the end. I don't want too much wiggle room with this particular design, just because I don't want my knits to shift anywhere as they're now interlocked. Remember, we have our handy dandy chain nose pliers here if you need them. Go ahead and use them. I just use it to kind of tighten up everything here toward the end, which that looks really good. And now you can take your crimp pliers and just crimp this right out. Okay. It's important to know where your crimps came from. You definitely want to make sure that the quality of them are top notch, that the wall thickness and that that they have no seam essentially to help with the crimping and keep it nice and stable and won't come apart later whenever you are wearing it or whenever you aren't wearing it and you just have it stored away. You definitely still want a secure hold on everything, so just make sure to check the quality of your crimps. Okay, last little piece here. Very easily strung through, so you just kind of pull it tight there at the end. And you can now crimp as such. Perfect. That's pretty much it as far as this project goes. It's quite easy, very fun, and just a charming design, I think, to put together with the flat mesh. And really, we're just expanding our library of design techniques with the different types of SilverSilk that's out there right now. So I was happy with this design, and I want you guys to give it a try. So let's flip back over to the finished piece. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching this tutorial, and I hope this has inspired you to give it a try as well. Again, my name is Nilay Patel. I'm the owner, designer, and educator at SilverSilk and More. Definitely click the link below that tells you all of the project description and the materials and the sources of where you can find those materials if you're in the mood for some light shopping. Otherwise, you can catch me in a few different places. First is don't forget to sign up for my text notifications. The number is also listed in the description. All you have to do is type hello to that number and you are automatically signed up. You can check me out in the Silkies group and all of our beautiful community members out there. We are constantly posting all sorts of Silver Silk designs, getting each other inspired, and staying vibrant, fun, and a little silly at times. Lastly, you can check me out at Instagram and follow me there. I've got a ton of inspiration, ideas, reels, all the fun things on Instagram. So come check me out there as well. All right. Well, I hopefully will leave you inspired and ready to give flat mesh a try if you haven't tried it already. And if you have any questions, just message me here or in the Silkies group. And I'll catch you guys at the next tutorial. Mwah! Love all of you, and I'll see you again soon.